Let's first help viewers understand what the FAA said. When they say we have experienced a slight increase in sick leave at 2 facilities, are they talking here about en route centers that help feed traffic into airports?
Yeah, from what I understand that the FAA has said so far, it's related to Boston and Jacksonville. Whether or not that ends up spreading to other centers as things get rolling here in the middle and western part of the country is open to interpretation. But, make no mistake about it, what we're seeing right now is 100% related to the shutdown. We're reporting this morning about a memo from the Trump administration that was published in conjunction with a bill signing on the 16th of January. And yesterday, amongst the air traffic controllers, an interpretation of the bill also went to NATCA membership. That's the union that represents the air traffic controllers. And effectively, it allows, their interpretation points the fact that it allows for staff to call in sick and effectively be on furlough without being penalized for it. So is this a coordinated labor effort? No, that's illegal. However, ATC staff are telling me from various centers around the country that this interpretation is opening the door for people staying home and calling in sick.
Right. This was the bill signed by the president on the 16th that essentially makes sure that the government employees who are furloughed will be paid at the end of the shutdown, right?
Precisely. Yeah, that was signed on January 16th.
All right, and so once that was signed, workers, unions interpreted that as a signal that they could take sick leave and not be penalized, and that's been the change?
Yeah, that's the interpretation that circulated yesterday. And as of yesterday evening, it was clear that this was kind of cooking as far as how people were seeing this. A lot of staff are feeling that, they feel an obligation to be at their posts to make sure that the air traffic system runs safely. But certainly these guys are going on 2 pay periods without pay, and are concerned about how this unfolds. So they're looking at the fact that the standard for air traffic controllers calling in sick is very low. You don't want someone with a head cold hopped up on cold medicine, where we might do that on a normal day. You don't want that person guiding air traffic control. So it falls under this exempted category that essentially puts them on a temporary furlough, not counting against their leave, and ultimately eliminates any potential penalty. At least that's the interpretation so far.
So, John, if this is the interpretation, if this is what's being circulated right now, we're talking about 2 facilities here in the Northeast, but could you potentially see more in other parts of the country as the day and days unfold here?
Well, that's what we're going to have to watch for. I don't think I can go so far as to predict that, but certainly, you see 2 centers, you see a slowdown at LaGuardia due to staffing. It's the busiest air traffic in the world. So, what you see is from right there, you see a cascading effect that ripples through the system. This is an incredibly integrated system where what happens in New York can begin to affect things that happen in Chicago, L.A., Seattle, London, Tokyo. I mean, this is not a small deal. So the question is whether or not this really does begin to spread from center to center as this interpretation is held onto by ATC staff.
John, the FAA on their website now says that the ground stop at LaGuardia has been lifted, but warns of further delays to flights. If we don't get an end to the shutdown, say in the next, in the matter of weeks, would you expect this kind of thing to happen again?
Well, I think it really comes down to, number one, the legal interpretation here, because again, a coordinated labor action by ATC staff is illegal. What we saw in 1981 with Ronald Reagan, the air traffic controllers, set the stage for that. So where we are today is there is a very, very large group of people in this country who is very, very, very fed up. I spoke with a lot of them just over the last few weeks about what's going on. And they're having trouble paying their bills. They're having trouble, just continuing on. And essentially, the stress of that, on top of trying to be an air traffic controller, is extraordinary. So, is this going to lead to more slowdowns and staffing issues? I can't say, but certainly these people, and among the other 800,000 government employees, are really stretched thin right now.
Yeah. Finally, we had the pilots union, ALPA, and the flight attendants union, and the air traffic controllers unions put out a statement this week saying that they could not calculate the risk that's been infused in the system by the shutdown. I just wonder how that was taken in aviation circles.
Well, certainly, anything that begins to erode the morale of the system. I mean, when you look at various aviation safety accidents, there is a demonstrable history of staff morale being a contributing factor in accidents. I'm not saying that this would necessarily lead to accidents, but when you look at the emotional factor here, certainly from just an aviation, studying aviation safety, studying the history of this, this becomes a factor that weighs on people, and the psychological, the human element here cannot be understated.